Hey everybody, Jason and John here for Everyday Crypto. And you know what, though, at this point, Jason, we're so much more than that, as we're going to see in today's episode. We're going to talk about so much cool stuff. Appreciate you sitting down. I'm going to pick your brain about everything in the world that you can imagine today.
John, appreciate it as always.
Yep. All right. So there's so much I had so many notes here. I want to talk to you about France. I want to talk to you about Bank of England. I want to talk to you about Saudi Arabia. So I know there's so much sort of civil unrest going on in the world. I want to kind of see how that really ties into where we are in the United States. And so I just wanted to kind of cue you up and get you going.
Let's do it. And if I could, please, if you find any entertainment or educational value in this at all, please like and subscribe. It helps us help you. And we are not financial advisors. Always do your own research.
Absolutely. So let's start with France. What's going on in sort of France and then Europe in general?
So I think France is a good example of the canary in the coal mine as far as the European Union goes. So right now there's protesters on the streets, I think in Paris, and there's a lot of them. It's a big group,
Yeah.
and they want France out of the European Union, and they want France out of NATO specifically. And the reason why they're doing this is because right now in France, it's next to impossible to fill your car up with gas. Like the lines at the gas station are hours long if you can get any at all. Like they're interviewing these French citizens, and they're like, "Hey, look, we'll pay anything. We need gas." And like nothing gives protesters more incentive to protest than when you can't feed your family, or if you can't drive your car or heat your home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people get desperate. We start doing that here. You don't think we're going to see people in the streets? Of course we will. Yeah,
For sure.
Um, okay, so that's France, and I had seen some of those articles, some of the footage online. Let's talk about the Bank of England. What's going on there?
Another canary in the coal mine. So
Too many canaries.
a lot of the Great Britain and England, their bond markets are completely tanking. This is mostly due to the devaluation of their currencies in comparison to the dollar
Sure.
and their inability to pay. So the Bank of England and Great Britain both are buying back bonds at a floor price, almost guaranteeing bondholders, which is mostly pension funds, governments, corporations, things like that, because bonds are usually the safest investment. That's the safe play, right?
Sure.
So they set a floor and say, look, we'll start buying bonds at this price so you can guarantee this floor price. In order to do that, they had to turn their money printing machines back on, which at a time of out of control inflation
Right.
is a horrible idea, but it's like a desperate move. And Great Britain came out yesterday and said, hey, look, we'll give you guys 3 more days and then we're going to stop buying these bonds at these floor prices,
Yeah.
which puts pension funds immediately in danger.
Sure.
And right now, the Bank of England is trying to decide if they're going to do the same thing or not. So,
Crazy.
we brought this up in our last video.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious about how our NATO friends feel about us right now,
Right.
because our dollar's super strong, our economy is strong in comparison, and we're not looking at a death winter where there's going to be no gas or coal or whatever. And right now, Europe is staring down the barrel of that gun, of which me and you've been talking about since March.
Absolutely.
And now it's here. Winter's here, and you see the civil unrest and the people freaking out. And right now in Germany, they're scrambling just to get old coal mines back up and stuff like that. So this picture is starting to get pretty ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you and I talk theory at sort of a 30,000-foot view. But boy, when you put yourself in the place of somebody who's raising kids over there,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? You know what I mean? You're going to just wrap yourself in blankets and hope food shows up. Like this has real world life and death stuff. You know what I mean? Like it really is scary. And just off the top of your head, is there any place in sort of Europe proper where things are going sort of well? Is there no safe haven?
Not that I know of. I know Italy's in bad shape. I know Spain's in bad shape. I know I don't know of anyone who's actually doing well right now.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. NATO. America doesn't really care if Russia ends up on European borders.
Sure.
Europe cares. They've had experience in World War I and World War II of what happens when your enemy gets too close.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're fighting for Ukraine.
Right.
It's because they don't want Russia on their borders, and Ukraine is on their European border.
Right.
You know, how many times have we had to step in and save France from invaders? Historically, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
And
for
them to be the first ones that want to tap out of this stalemate game of chicken, it doesn't really look good upon them. It really doesn't.
Right.
But I understand their frustrations, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you, John, like, I don't see this thing getting any better anytime soon. Civil unrest is usually a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had civil unrest in America during the pandemic, but it was short-term civil unrest, usually due to like people who don't want to get vaccinated, or maybe some of the Black Lives Matters and stuff like that.
Yeah, more political stuff. Yeah,
more political stuff that doesn't have that dire need of survival.
Right. Yeah. If you want to opt out, it doesn't really affect you. Yeah.
Yeah. And when people are fighting for survival, it's a whole other level of violence on the streets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids, but I know you do. There's nothing. I mean, in that situation, there's nothing you wouldn't be willing to do to feed your kids or protect your children. So take that times 10 million people in a small area. That could get real dangerous real fast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get into a little bit different part of the world. I was looking today, and I saw that there were, the U.S. the administration had some harsh words for Saudi Arabia for not upping their oil production or even slowing it down. So, and it was pretty brutal language, very sort of confrontational. I just want to get your take on that too while we're chatting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, America, OPEC, and the Saudis, we've always had a very love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Saudis deep down hate us.
Yeah.
But they pretend like they like us because we provide them security.
Yep.
But a lot of our allies are their enemies, like Israel and stuff like that.
Right.
And I imagine, just like we talked about in this last show, the Saudis and the OPEC nations are taking Russia's lead
and
using energy warfare to get in a better leveraged position. Because 5 years from now, this whole globe's going to look different.
Right.
Everyone's right now is leveraging to find out, after this whole shitstorm happens, where does everyone land afterwards?
Right.
And there's some pretty scary things going on behind the scenes too. Like right now, I know major corporations, retailers like Amazon, they're cutting back on inventory at a time in the year when they really historically would not be.
Right.
And if you read through some of their corporate documents, they're anticipating massive layoffs, consumer spending dropping off a cliff, and the housing market collapse. And these are things that are coming down the pipeline when we've already got too many things in the pipeline.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the global banking system. Like me and you've been talking about this for almost a year now, where China's banking system is an absolute mess. Russia's banking system is a mess. Now we're talking about Great Britain and England and, Japan's absolutely upside down. Like countries are upside down. And if they were corporations or if they were households, they would probably just deem bankruptcy at this point.
Yeah, no, I've often made that point to people in my social circle that, if governments ran themselves, if we ran our households the way the government runs, we would all just be homeless and poor, and bankrupt every other year. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. While we're chatting before we wrap it up, how are things on the crypto side? Anything earth shattering? Anything fun? Anything scary?
So here's the thing about that. The last 8 months, crypto's taken a beating just like stocks and everything else.
Right.
But for people who truly understand what Bitcoin is or what Ethereum is, it's really a hedge against all these things.
Right.
And right now, top investors are saying to get into scarce assets like art, high-end jewelry, rare cars, because these things during recession times do very well.
Right.
Well, I tell you what else is very scarce. And that's Bitcoin and Ethereum now at this point.
Interesting.
And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I have noticed how Bitcoin has held up so strong over the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
Many people, me included, I'm fully guilty of this. I thought Bitcoin would be around $12,000 right now.
Right.
But it hangs around that $19,000, $20,000 mark, even when stock markets are crashing. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a decorrelation. And I do think the super wealthy and and maybe the corporations, the high-tech corporations are figuring this out. And maybe they're going to go that route where, okay, if everything else is collapsing, all the world currencies, the bond markets, the stock markets, housing, what's scarce and valuable? Art, Rolexes, and Bitcoin, right?
Right.
And gold. I mean, they would think gold is too at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a possibility. Something happened today that I thought was really interesting and no one's talking about. Like, it barely made the news for my level of news. And that is, I don't know if it was Qatar or the other super wealthy, nice nation in the Middle East that's super wealthy that everyone loves to go visit.
Dubai.
Yeah, I think it was Dubai.
Yeah.
They came out with a spot ETF for Bitcoin, which for people who love crypto, this is what we've been waiting for our whole lives.
Yeah.
Because if you give Americans the ability to buy spot price Bitcoin on the stock market, without actually having to go out and buy Bitcoin and self-custody it.
Right.
That opens the floodgates to all the world's corporations and institutions. And that's now come out in that area of the world.
Wow.
I believe there's several other places, like Canada has one. I think South America has one. This would also put pressure on the United States to finally pass a spot ETF for Bitcoin in America, which it's just, with all these bad news, there's this one positive thing that really could take off during all this. It really could. If nothing else, it could be a safe haven.
Right. Okay. Do you think, and just as a side question on that, if it were to sort of end up there or here, does that take away any of the anonymity or, because I mean, at that point, then you're sort of trading on a platform that is regulated, right? So would that take away your anonymity, which I know is a big draw for cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So, well, that's really kind of a myth. There really is no anonymity in crypto. There really isn't. But people used to think it did, but now they realize that everything's trackable on the blockchain.
Gotcha.
But so how spot ETFs work is every time someone invested in that spot ETF, that entity, let's just say it was ran by BlackRock, the entity would have to actually hold that much Bitcoin.
I see.
So if they've got $1 trillion worth of investors who want to buy in Bitcoin, this is the avenue that most investors want to take. Most investors don't want to self-custody. They don't want, it's too complicated. There's a learning curve involved and all this stuff. And there's risk. What if I lose my seed phrase? What if I get hacked?
Sure.
This is the safe route. And it's actually a really big deal. And I think the closer we get to that, you remember when Bitcoin moves, it moves fast.
Right.
Like, it'll go stale for a year, or it only did like a 7x in the last bull run, which any other stock on earth would be like, that'd be amazing. But for crypto, it's like, only 700%, But you could see there's so many things that are going off in the world right now that could send Bitcoin parabolic. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Jason, smorgasbord of information today. Love it. There's a lot of stuff going on today. We'll do another one of these very, very soon. I really appreciate your time and your expertise, and I know a lot of people get a lot of value out of this. So again, thank you for your time, and we'll do another one soon.
John, as always, I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Take care. Yep.
You got it.